Welcome back to Teachers Next Door. Today we're tackling teacher efficiency with two unique perspectives on how to work smarter and reclaim some of your time. Let's dive in.
Michelle, I have to tell you about my sweater. For those of you who are listening and can't see, it is a black sweater and it has vibrant strawberries all over it. And my family, my very own family, hates this sweater. And when I wore it today, all three of them commented on it once again. So they all think it looks like I'm trying to be in with the cool crowd or something. My daughter thinks I look like I'm trying to be 13. My husband always says, "You look like a typical teacher in that sweater." My 17-year-old, same thing. Him and his girlfriend, they're trying to be very kind about it, but they're like, "It's just not something I would wear," is what my son's girlfriend says to me. But I absolutely love it. So then I thought, no, I'm going to wear it today. I like the sweater. Wore it to school. Guess what? At least 10 teachers were, "I like your sweater. I love your sweater. Where'd you get it?" And then on top of that, another 30 children then said the same compliments towards me. So I'm going to deny my family and I'm going to continue to wear my sweater because I love this strawberry sweater so, so, so much. I know I have a lot of typical teacher clothes in my closet, so that my family always likes to comment on them. However, when you wear them to school, everyone else appreciates them. So that's why I have them. And I'm a teacher, so I'm allowed to have them.
You are a teacher, and I think the very first thing I said before I even said hi to you when I logged on was, "Cute sweater." This is awesome because I have to tell you about this shirt. My colleague Andrea and I were laughing last week about this shirt because my friend has this shirt and she came to a dinner party wearing it and I loved it. And we all complimented it. It has a cute detail at the back. I loved it. I went out and bought it because it was so cute on her. Well, I wore it to teach grade 2. And the first thing they asked me is if I had come to school as a referee, if I was going out at recess to ref soccer.
It's adorable, by the way. I would have never thought about that.
Then the little girl said, "I don't think you look like a referee." She's not so into sports. She thought I might look like a zebra. And then the best one, which caused me to let out the biggest laugh, I think I scared all of the kids. My one little guy said he thought I should save it for Halloween because I would make a great Beetlejuice.
Okay, well, now I can't unsee it. It is black and white stripes. Now I'm thinking, has anyone asked you if you've been to prison? Hey, I still think it is the cutest thing ever. I love it. Believe me, I would wear that tomorrow. However, I can now unsee that.
It hits different, right? You have your clothes that you wear. You wear clothes like a teacher and you look like a teacher. And we all of us teachers have clothes that we wear for specific themes. And then we have clothes that we think are cute, and then they think we look like Beetlejuice or a zebra.
Or we're trying too hard. I have a whole bin in my closet that I keep underneath that just has those one-off school clothes that you need for St. Patrick's Day or holidays or pink shirt day. All the different things are just kind of tucked away in this bin. And once a year I pull them out. I wear them and I wash them, they go back in that bin. And I love adding to it every year. I always get a couple new shirts or whatnot every year. Do you have a teacher bin or do you keep them in your
I
closet?
totally do, yes, and recently we had a color day, and my kids told me what I should wear. They knew from my wardrobe what sweatshirt I should wear. It's this Crayola sweater. It says Crayola, and then it has the stripes across. They love if I wear that sweatshirt on a casual day or dress up day because they want to call me Miss Crayola, and it has all the colors of the rainbow, so they know. They're as attached to our clothing as they are to us.
They absolutely are. I had this kindergarten teacher at my previous school. She's amazing, phenomenal. She had the best teacher clothes. She did not miss a beat. She had headbands, she had t-shirts, I'm sure jewelry, and they're all super cute. And I would ask her all the time, "Where'd you get those clothes?" So lots of times it was an Instagram reel or a link through some other kind of social media platform or just by Googling teacher clothes. But she had the coolest things, lots of characters, lots of book references. So I just loved when she came to school. And "Where do you keep all that stuff?" And she's like, "Don't
True.
ask. Don't even ask."
It is so true. My family will say things to me like, "You are such a teacher," even my glasses, right? "You look like such a teacher." Well, I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah. Newsflash.
Yeah, if you haven't noticed lately.
So today we're going to
Oh.
get into our top tips for teacher efficiency. And so you have yours, I have mine. We don't know what they are. We haven't discussed that yet. So we'll see if there's any overlap. And then I know that there's lots of people out there that I've learned things from, I continue to learn things from to kind of be more efficient with my time in my day. So what would you say is your top teacher tip for yourself, or at least one of them, Michelle?
Okay, it was hard to choose. I made quite a list and then I went through and tried to prioritize them like a true teacher would. My number one top efficiency is your team, using your team and being part of a team. So, planning together, teaching together, sharing everything, planning your assessments together, creating all of the things that you're doing in your classroom together. Have a shared drive where you share your work that you can all access, whether it's common assessments or report card assessments, team planning meetings. I think that that is key to being efficient.
That's a great one. On that note, actually, because I've just obviously switched school boards, I have a shared drive with my previous grade one team. And because we worked for the same school board, even though I was at a different school, we still shared that drive. And then when I was leaving, I realized as soon as I left, anything that I had put on that drive would now be grayed out for them. And I didn't even care about myself. I honestly panicked that my 5 other teacher besties would have no access to everything that we had built together, and that really freaked me out. But we figured out a way around it. They went and, got it off there and put it on their own drive, so they were the owners of it. But that was one of those things where I was like, "I didn't even think about that. You have to get everything off the drive." And I also got the things that I needed off of it as well. But that, yeah, when you share a lot of things and resources over the years, you want to make sure that you covet those as well, right? So if you ever leave a school district or a school, make sure that you figure out a way to take those with you. That's a great
I
one, working as a
know.
team.
Hours, hours, and hours of our lives have been spent creating these things. So awesome. Okay, what's yours?
So one of mine is to use templates for as many things as I possibly can. So I'm trying really hard to not always work from scratch. Sometimes I definitely work from scratch depending on what the planning or the task design is. But I tried for example, for newsletters, the monthly newsletters, we were using a design for lesson plan structures, our day plans, our Google Slides, our daily messages, maybe parent memos that are going out. Also, Canva was our best friend, using a lot of different templates on there just to kind of streamline things. We had weekly messages that went out to parents as well. Also streamlining templates on our Instagram accounts. Some at the school I was previously at, we had Instagram accounts. So just trying to go through and streamline as much as possible into a template. So all we had to do is plug in new dates or new information or new pictures or whatever it is that we were sending out. So I would say that creating a template that you can utilize is one of my top tips.
I love that. I also had that on my list. Tweak and reuse. Do not start from scratch. I am a huge believer in templates to work smarter and not harder. Okay, my next one was routines. Routines are our best friends. I think teachers' best friends and student best friends. Kids thrive on routines. The routine that they have for morning entry, transition between regular classes and specialty classes, routines at the end of the day. Our routines really help us to run on autopilot and take some of the decision making out of the day when we make so many. I don't even know what the statistics are, Nicole, but there are thousands of decisions to be made in a day. And the more predictable our structure is, the less we have to manage the behavior and the logistics. So routines were next for me.
Absolutely. Those routines, they start in, the beginning of the school year, but they run your classroom. So I always gave myself a lot of grace in September, especially. And I know some schools start back in August, but whenever you do start back, is taking the time, taking that those first few weeks to really hone in on the proper routines and making sure they're done to the standard that you want them done. I know I would ask my students many times to put things back properly or go back and try it again because I really wanted them to have that muscle memory of what it would look like to do the routines. So then now where we are at the end of the school year, it's just, running itself. If, a guest teacher comes in, students know where supplies are. They know what the routines are. They're the ones basically running the classroom alongside that guest teacher. And then to
It's
go with
true.
routines as well, I know for myself, I thrive on routines. Most of us do. And I know that I have a routine when I go to work in the morning and when I get there and what I do and how I run kind of my own day. And one of my big routines that I have to do, I call it 3 before 3. And so in the morning, I take 3 different sticky notes. I love my sticky notes, and so I have lots of different colors and shapes and all those fun things. And so I write the top 3 things that must get done on those 3 sticky notes for the day, and then I put them somewhere. So whether it's on my laptop, on the whiteboard, on the back of the door, sometimes it changes depending on just, I don't know, my mood in the morning, but I always do this every day. And there's something about taking that sticky note off the wall and throwing it out just to say that it's done. And so what happens is by 3 o'clock, if I've not done those 3, I have to get them done, right? Pretty much at that minute. I'll be honest, most times I'm done those 3 things anyways, probably by middle of the day or just after the bell. But if I know that I'm nearing the end of the school day and I still have those 3 things to do, I kind of start prioritizing which one I have to do first, second, and third. But I really don't allow myself to leave before those 3 things are done. And they are manageable things. They're not big tasks that I'm leaving to the last minute, but it just makes me feel like I have things off my to-do list. And it makes me feel successful at the end of the day when I'm leaving. And then I know that whatever I get done after that 3 o'clock mark, if you will, it's just kind of icing on the cake. But those 3 before 3 are imperative that I do every single day.
I love that saying, three before three. A colleague of mine was in covering for me when I was on maternity leave, and I had gone in to visit her and bring, I don't know, one of the babies in to see everyone. And she had a notepad on her desk, and the top page said her 3 priorities for that day. And that was it on her list. And I saw that and I said, "You only have 3 things on your list." And she lifted up the next page, and underneath that page was 100 things that she needed to do. But every night before she left, she would write the 3 things she had to do the next day. And so that she wasn't coming into this overwhelming list of things to do. And I've adopted that from her. And I think that 3 before 3 is a brilliant way to remember.
It's always overwhelming, and hey, yeah, you said it. There's many, 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 many other pages of things that have to get done, but it's just there's something about taking those 3 things off your master list to get done, then by the end of the week, you're like, "Oh, I've just accomplished 15 things, plus a bazillion other things, but those top ones that you had to get done." So, it's I even do that at home, though. That's part of my home routine as well. I do it on a weekend. I usually have a list with my husband. It's all over the place, and maybe it's 5 things, maybe it's 10 things or whatever, but there's something about scratching that off a list to get it done. Don't you ever just write a list to cross things off of it sometimes?
I was gonna say, do you ever add things on that weren't on your list just to, make yourself feel a little
Because
better?
then you're like, "I'm super efficient today."
Oh, I know, and that eliminates that feeling at the end of the day of, "Did I even accomplish anything today?" If you have those 3 things and you can then add up to 15 that week, you're winning.
You're golden. What's another one
Okay,
of
is it
your
my
tips?
turn next? Okay, so I put down teacher signals and student signals. So as a way to stop the can I go to the bathroom in the middle of a lesson using the finger signals. So in our class, they do 3 fingers up, right? If they want to go to the washroom, 2 if they need a tissue. In our class, we cross our fingers. Sorry, 3 for water, 2 for tissue, fingers crossed
Okay,
if they have to go to the washroom.
stop for a second. I had it in my mind that you were going to say 2 for number 2 or so. I was like,
Oh!
you think your kids tell you if they have to go number 1 and number 2? Never mind. I got your system now. Sorry, start again.
They came up with it. So 3 for washroom, W. 2 for tissue, that was not mine, they came in from grade 1 with that, and then fingers crossed, which I love because I feel like it's like they're crossing their legs, they really have to go, and yes, kids do tell me sometimes if they have to go number 2, and I am like, "TMI, TMI, too much information." And then from the teacher end, using a chime, or we have a doorbell that I ring, just different ways to get their attention so they know when they hear that, or a callback. They know to stop, freeze, stop what they're doing, eyes on me. And then it just helps to save our voices. And they also know to stop and pause and be ready for the next set of instructions.
What are some of your favorite kind of attention getting sayings?
We The one they love is Hocus Pocus, everybody focus. Maybe it goes along with the Beetlejuice witch theme, I don't know. We do a lot of clapping, so if you can hear me clap twice, they'll clap twice, and then I'll say clap again, and they'll clap again. So things like that where they're using their body is helpful. I find I get their best attention if they're having to clap or tap or stomp or something that moves their body because they have to put their tools down and eyes on me. How about you?
I just started playing this word association game one time when I taught grade 4 actually many moons ago. So one of the ones I do is I'll say spaghetti, they say meatballs, I say ketchup, they say mustard. So it's just quick little ones. And then the kids started coming up with them in grade 4. And then we would try to kind of guess the word association. So those kind of always just stuck with me. They're quick, they're easy, they're fun, and then they're different. Obviously, eyes on me and hands on top. That means stop was a big one at my previous school, and everybody in the whole school used it. The gym specialist, the music
Mhm.
specialist, the French specialist,
Mhm.
classrooms teachers, which was really nice because then everyone knew what that was. So yeah, so just different little fun callbacks.
Do your kids do quiet coyote, where they make a little coyote?
I've seen it before. I haven't really used it a lot myself. However, I have seen a couple of our guest teachers use it before, so it's definitely one of those things that I've seen.
Yeah, I didn't teach it to them, but they've taught it to me,
I
and
think
I
it's
think
a
it's
camp
so
thing.
it might be. It might be. It's super cute, and the quietest kids do the quiet coyote.
Isn't that the funniest thing though in your class where there's those kids that just beg for silence? They're like,
Mhm.
"Come on, please, everybody, can you just give me 30 seconds of grace?" And it's not even coming from you as the teacher. It's the kid just they start putting up the quiet coyote by themselves.
It's so true.
I love speaking of, children and coming up with different things. One of my strategies is actually to use the students as classroom delegates or have different jobs for them to do. Things they love to volunteer for. So there's things that we could do all day long as teachers and still do obviously as we run our classrooms, but there's also things that students can do to help us run our classrooms when they assign those classroom duties or classroom tasks. And as you know, they take them super seriously if they're the line leader or if they're the caboose, if they're the one stacking the chairs or handing out the papers, they do not let you forget who was on those duties for that day. They take it absolutely serious. I think this empowers students to, be obviously a member of the classroom and also they love to help. And obviously, I think that if you partner it with your routines, then it also helps with that strategy as well. But I would say that trying to include students as much as possible to get jobs done that you don't have to be tidying up behind them or staying after school to do certain things and they just know where it goes and who's in charge of it. That's a key strategy I use.
Mhm. I love student helpers. They are so willing to pitch in with anything and everything. We have a reward system going on in my classroom right now, and students are picking that they want to do 5 different classroom jobs in the week. So I give them a sticky note and they write Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I say, "Go brainstorm with a classmate." And they write down what they want to do every week. We tape it onto their desk, and I say, "You are in charge of this," because there's so many helping. We have unofficial jobs right now, so they're just picking, but I'm like, "You're in charge. So if you're the line leader, you need to advocate for yourself that you're the line leader and let them know that it's on your list," because it's they're an abundance of help. And they're harder, I think, on themselves and everybody else than we are. If they have a job, it's going to be done right. Okay, something I've been working on lately that I believe in, but I hadn't been really implementing it as well as I should have been, is an early finisher system. So, with helping with teacher efficiency, for helping those kids who are early finishers and already done, I need them to have some sort of challenging task to work on so I can be effective and efficient with my students who still need me at that time. So, having a choice board and having those activities laid out so that it can help me be more effective and efficient to wrap up that lesson or whatever practice we're doing has been a game changer for me in this last month.
A system is key. Last year, I actually revamped literacy centers, and I've never done it this way before. And I honestly give so much credit to my team partner, Megan. She was amazing. Together, we kind of co developed this program. So, what we're doing, it's not new. I'm sure teachers have done it before. It was just new to me. But instead of literacy centers being in a rotation where you would, after your 25 minutes or whatever, you would have a bell or whatever, timer go off, and then it rotates through we put probably 4 to 5 literacy tasks in a bin, and it was all differentiated at different levels within that group. And so students didn't have to move bins or move places. They just grabbed a new task out of the bin that was already at their table. And so it was at the level that they were at. They knew, what they were able to and capable of doing within that system. And so then every 2 or 3 weeks, we would put new literacy centers within those groups. And so we didn't have to change anything on a board. We didn't have to change groupings. Students didn't have to move throughout the classroom. And it just kept us so much more organized. And we even felt after doing that for a whole year, we were like, this ran so smoothly, but also we felt the students were further ahead because we were catching
Mhm,
all of them where they had to be. And so the
mhm,
students could grab a task that they were able to do on their own. There were also students at their table that could, kind of help them through it. But also, we were more on top of changing our centers every 2 to 3 weeks, where all of a sudden, sometimes we know what happens is that everything else gets, put to the top. And then all of a sudden, you have the same literacy centers for 4 to 6 weeks, and kids are getting bored with them. And then your classroom management kind of goes, by the wayside. So this was great because it was always new. And then we would just introduce a new center or two in the mix, and they really loved that system. And I know that when I go back to the classroom one day, back from this intervention role that I'm in, I will run my literacy stations or centers the exact same way as that again because it ran so
mhm.
smoothly.
I loved also what you talked about with student helpers helping each other. I know we were talking about helping with classroom jobs, but I have this beautiful, just lovely group of kids. And so if someone is finished a little bit earlier, I'll say, are you comfortable if so and so comes and reviews this with you, and just check in with both kids? Are they comfortable? And then off they go. And it's just so beautiful. They really love to help in any way. And I love that idea about what you described about the literacy centers too. I think it's your turn.
It's hard for all teachers, and I don't know if there's a good solid rule for this, but setting some type of boundary for yourself. I know that people who know me and know you are going to go, you two girls should not be talking about setting boundaries for your workload. I know that. But okay, let me tell you, I, of course, have nothing really to compare it to. I just moved school. So I have to set my own boundary for myself now, which has actually been it's been a great lesson, but it's also been awesome because I'm only picking now. I'm an early riser, so I like to be at school early anyways. So I tend to work in my mornings before the bell rings for a good hour at school. The one thing I am choosing to do is only stay at school late one day a week. I'm talking my late day till my 6 o'clock day. And I'm not saying that you don't have to stay till 6 o'clock. That is not what I'm saying. Please hear me. But there are many days where I would stay multiple days till 6, 7 o'clock at night. And I'm choosing one day a week if I need it. I don't need it all the time. And instead of doing it my 4 days a week, my
Hmm.
last school, I was really great as well about setting a boundary and leaving fairly early and only choosing, a few times to stay late. So I'm going to stick with that as I come to this school. And so it's just one of those things where it's when I want to get a whole bunch of things done in a period of time. So my list might not be 3 things, it might be 10 things, or I have a large scale project I need to work on or get finished. But I'm only going to now dedicate one day maximum a week to it, and hopefully sometimes not even one day a week till that late time for staying. But that's me for me personally, only because I know I can get caught up in that. It's Monday, now it's Tuesday, now it's Wednesday, and you've been there late every night. I will not do that anymore. I have to set some boundaries for myself for sure.
Mhm. I think that's so, so, so important. And I think you and I both have become better with this over time. I think that leads well into the next one for me, and that is planning in chunks of time and batching our tasks. Because every time we go from one thing to the next thing, if we check an email and then we run to the photocopier and then we grade some marking or we tidy something up in our classroom or we make a phone call, every time we do one little activity at a time, right, we're changing tasks, we're losing time. So trying to chunk our tasks together, I think, just helps with our efficiency. I know for me, honestly, I'm out the door quite a bit, especially through the winter months. As you know, you're the same with kids and activities. And so for me too, it's picking that, one night or maybe two that I stay late, or, going in on a Saturday morning when there's nobody there and the school is empty. I can get more done in an hour than I can get done in those 15-minute blocks all week. So just picking what works, I think, for people, and trying to stick to that, because like I said before, and we all know, it never ends. There's always stuff to do. I think also prioritizing what is actually important, because I think sometimes we get caught up in the aesthetics of things. And I think sometimes we need to really focus on where we're getting the best bang for our buck.
I know time blocking, that's one thing that you and I have learned through being part of Achievement Club and through Erin. And I know that I've always used that in my personal life at home, but I know I have to use it at school because I am the worst for getting sidetracked. Like, oh, I have to put this, up on the wall, or I just want to just get this one copy done, or I haven't talked to this teacher in a while and I just saw her walk by. So I had this one colleague that used to put a sign on her door. It was like, "Nobody talk to me. I am working." And that is legit. She would close her door and she would have a sign, like a laminated sign that she knew she had to put on there like quite often. It wasn't like a one-off. It was like a lot of the time thing. And I remember thinking, okay, if I have to get something done, I would have to close my door at work, which is honestly kind of an unwritten rule of like, I'm busy or I got things to do. Don't bother
Mhm.
me. But I think the time blocking is key because I know that for myself, if I put aside half an hour or 1 hour block and I just like power through it and just sit and get it done, then I'm so much better off. So I love that you mentioned that.
Mhm.
Okay, another thing that I really love is the idea of having a bin system for my paperwork. So I love a magically clean desk. And I don't know, everything else can be in chaos behind me, but if in front of me, if my desk is clean, I'm good to go. So I have a three pile system. So it's like my one bin is must do immediately, like this has to get done today. My other bin is it can hold off till next week. And then my third bin is like actually can happen whenever. It might even be an idea I have for next year or something. So it's just that three bin system. So must be done immediately, like as in like today, ASAP. Two can be done next week. Three can be done like in 10 years. Like, it doesn't really matter. So, but that just gets it off the pile on my desk into like three like nicely curated bins, and it makes me feel better. And I just love having like a clean desk. I would leave my classroom in grade one with just a day plan on my desk. Some spilt coffee and a couple other things, but that's about it. But it was clean. There wasn't like a lot of paper on it. And I don't like a cluttered mess for my mind. I know that about myself. I love to have like even a clean island at my house, a clean counter. The cupboards can be a mess inside, but it has to visually for my eye be clean. So that's one of the things that I have implemented is the bin system, just so I can make sure that I feel like successful in my environment.
I also have a 3 bin system, so if it's in the bin on the right side of my desk, we have to do that today. If it's in the bin on the left side of my desk, that's eventually within the week or within the unit, and if it's in the bin behind me, it's also sometime soon or in 10 years. It's like the ideas, right, are back there. We have color coordinated folders for their subjects. And so when they're needing to drop something off, I make sure that I have a bin for them that's labeled because it works well for them to have that visual and to know where things need to go.
I was looking at my list here that I kind of jotted down as we were talking, and I have one more big one that is, I would say, it's my top efficiency teacher tip, and that's asking for help. That is not letting yourself drown. And I shouldn't say we've all been there, but I've been there. I know a lot of my friends and colleagues have been there. Heck, I wrote a book about being burnt out. So I know that that's one of my downfalls or has been in the past where I just think I can do everything on my own by myself and not have to ask for help as you're trudging through it. The best thing that ever happened to me was being part of the most marvelous team at my last school. And we worked together. We were just truly like a well-oiled machine, as they say. And that really seemed to take a lot of the pressure off. And I know that what I learned from those ladies is that it is okay to ask for help and that you need to ask for help as a teacher. We are not meant to do this job alone, even though this job can be very isolating. And I don't know if people realize that who aren't in education. You kind of are a little bit in some of these silos all day long if you're in a single classroom. Some of us are fortunate enough to have team partners and open air classrooms, but not all of us. Or you work in smaller schools with different dynamics or, different personalities. Like there's lots of reasons why perhaps things have not worked out the way that you would think to be. But I know that's one thing that I'm going to lean on in my new environment is that even in the first week, I know a lot of people were asking if I needed to know where things are or what things to do. And even this morning I went in and I had made myself a list of the things I really had to get to know this week. People might assume I know them or someone else has told me. So I just found two different teachers today and I just asked them a couple questions and they were happy to help. They were over the moon that I had come to them and that we had connected and that they were willing to share where they like found that information, or, they sent me different links I had to know about. But if I wouldn't have asked, I would have just honestly trudged through it for extra hours on my own. And really, just by asking for help, it took honestly 5 minutes to get my questions answered this morning. So, one of my biggest tips is to ask for help. And I was really, really bad at that for a long time in my career. It isn't until recently that I've started to do more of that. But if you are starting out, if you are a veteran teacher, if you're right in the middle somewhere, honestly, like, call a friend, ask for help. It can be someone at your school, it can be someone at a different school, but that is one thing that makes me super sad as an educator, is that if we don't have people in our corner, in our buildings or in our community, or connecting with each other for that help, it can be very lonely.
That's so beautiful, Nicole. And it makes me think of being a mom. And people will say, how do you do it? Like, you have so many kids and so many sports. And I say, we ask for help, right? We ask each other for help because we all need help at some point in time. Derek and I are so happy to help other people. And same with teachers. I had a teacher come to me last week and she's like, I hate to ask you this, but could you go do my supervision? She needed to get something done. And I was like, yes, please. Like, I need the fresh air. I need the steps. I need the connection with those kids. And right, people are more than willing to offer that lending hand. So I think that's a great way. Did you have anything else on your list?
I'm sure that there will be way more that come to me after we hang up this call. And it's funny because I know that we didn't want to prioritize this in like a top 5 list, top 10 list, because there's always things that are like also moving and shaking. So what works for me doesn't work for you. What works for you might not work for me. I can't wait to hear your teacher tips out there. So if you have a top teacher efficiency tip that you would love to share out, please send us an email or find us on Instagram and send us your top teacher efficiency tips. And then we'd love to share them out with everybody else.
I just wanted to end with this, that efficiency isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters faster and smarter. So like Nicole said, if this hit home today, or a teacher deep in the trenches, please share this with them. And just to remember that we're not just surviving the school year, we're working smarter and not harder. And as teachers, we need to be in this together.
I love this. And I know that I have to take my own advice out of this episode and take your advice, Michelle, because it is hard when you're in the muck, right? It is hard to look for those tips and tricks to help you be more efficient, but even to have these routines and structures in place and giving yourself the permission to reach out and to know that you're not alone.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time. Wait, is that the bell? The buses are rolling and we've got duty.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Teachers Next Door podcast. If you enjoyed this week's PD session, do us a solid. Leave a rating, 5 stars preferably, and a review. Think of it as giving us an A+ on our eval. It helps other listeners find their way to our neighborhood. As the kids say, please subscribe.
Do you have a burning question or topic you would like to hear about? Send us an email or message. Be sure to follow us on Instagram for show updates and details on future episodes.
This podcast was produced and edited by us, your Teachers Next Door. No outsourcing here. The reality of all teachers. We do it all.
If nobody else has told you today, just remember, you are doing a great job. Catch you next time.
And we should mention, the ideas we share on this podcast are totally our own.